Alright, this is Gus here, CrossFit Glorified, coming to you with questions and comments from the box. So obviously right now we're going into our last week of the Open, and that's been a lot of the conversation in here. What workout is coming, how we've been performing. I mean, you know, it's all the hype of the Open. So here's a couple of things that have come up as comments or questions and stuff. Do I think the Open is beneficial for our box, or I think the Open is beneficial for CrossFit in general? There's two things I like to define for everyone to understand. The first one is we have to look at CrossFit in two different aspects. One is CrossFit as the sport, and one is CrossFit as a core strength and conditioning program. The constant varied function movements at a high intensity. Now, when you look at it from the sport perspective, obviously there's competition because you have to qualify for something, and we can define fitness for anyone through doing a test method like we're doing in the Open. So anyone can determine if they're getting better or not through testing their fitness. But for a sport aspect, you have to have a winner. You have to have competition, and you have to have that draws. Now, here's what I think the Open does, and I think why I think it's important. I think that we form habits when we go to workout, and we get into a really nice, comfortable zone, and we get into this comfort zone, and we get used to doing the same way or the same type of movement, and we never challenge ourselves beyond that. I've seen people who scale all the time continually, and I try to challenge them to change the scale or to go a little further, and they always go back to that scale they're comfortable with, or maybe that weight like on wall balls, and they just won't go any heavier. They won't go for that 20 pound and go to 14. If they're at 14, and 14 is RX, they'll be at 10. So what the Open does, I think it challenges individuals. It makes them go there where they wouldn't go. Maybe with a deadlift, maybe with a clean, with a number they would never hit. And they do it, and then it brings them to a different level, realizing, well, I did it, so I know they can do it. And their confidence boosts up. And from there, the individual continues to improve. So from that aspect, I think it's great. Now, is there a lot of emotions and feelings? Absolutely. I think that it also deals with emotions and feelings, and it brings that out in individuals. From the competitive perspective, individuals get mad when they get no reps. They get upset about it, but the reality is some people are trying to help you, not bring you down. They're being realistic, so your range of motion gets better. So you get called on certain movements that you're doing wrong, so you improve in your fitness. There's emotions on being nervous. Individuals get nervous, even though we work out 5 days a week, 6 days a week, 4 days a week, whatever you do. Individuals still get nervous just because you have a judge now, just because you have people cheering you, even though you're doing the exact same thing. But all that, again, is part of your fitness getting better, and you can push out of your comfort zone so you become healthier and you become fitter. So that's why I think it's really good. I decorate the place up here, as you guys know. We put music, we put the judges, we design it and make the atmosphere different. We want to change the atmosphere to challenge you mentally. There's a mental aspect to all of this. I would say the majority of this is mental. So we go ahead and push you in that. But the reality is that it's the same thing that you do. And sometimes our workouts, I would say, are a lot harder than this Open. People are like, oh, the Open workouts are so hard. And I look at some of the workouts we do, I'm like, well, they didn't have a 30-minute MRAP at the Open with 4 movements like we've had, or 3 movements that we have, whatever it is, challenging that much. But yet individuals look at it and they're like, wow, this is so hard. So it's a mental aspect. I also think that they play a role in regards to not letting you know the workouts, so you don't know what's coming, and kind of you're just like unknown, and that makes you a little nervous, obviously. But that's important too, because we definitely need to be prepared for anything. I mean, from a fitness perspective, whatever it is thrown at you, you should be prepared for. And it also exposes weaknesses. That's just like one of the major ones. It exposes your weakness, and from there you can either do two things. You can fail at the margin of your experience. You can have a bad experience and be like, I'm not going to do that again. Or you can push through and get better at that movement that you stunk at, and come back next year and just whip it and do extremely good. So a couple things happen here during the Open I think is very important. But we're coming to the last one. Finally, the last question I was asked was what I think the last one is. I'm sitting on this assault bike, and I don't know what it will be. It's a guess. But Castro put a stake with a knife through it, and I don't know anything else, honestly, for me, than thrusters in this assault bike, or double unders and thrusters that can damage you pretty darn good, especially with dumbbells. But some reason I think we had 2 dumbbell movements, 2 bar movements, and the last one is going to be dumbbell and a bar movement combination with double unders, or maybe this here, the assault bike. That's the best guess. I can be off, but I'm going to go with some dumbbell thrusters, some sumo high deadlift pulls on the bar, some double unders, or maybe some assault bike to tear you up. So guys, hope that helps. Have a good one. Until next time.